This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs on the Hogstye Network.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 5, Episode 38, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington on all social media platforms. And I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of the Mighty Hogstye Network on audio and, of course, YouTube on video. All right, so all I hear the fans yelling this week are, "We want Dallas. We want Dallas." And I thought, careful what you wish for, or can you win this game? Dallas will have to really drop. They have to lose both games to Washington for that. Any of that to even maybe happen, but it could. And Dallas seems like one week they look really good, and the next week they look like crap. Mm-hmm. You know, never figure those guys out. Sometimes just stunning losses. But this would be another. I guess this is no harder a game than what Washington has had. Last few weeks. If they play Washington, Philly. They play Dallas, Philly. Giants, 5 games to go. I think if you win 3 of them, you probably make the playoffs. If you can beat Philly twice, that's a head-to-head playoff wild card. But I think they can, 3 wins can get them in, however they slice it up, and to be a wild card. And right now they're the number 6, which would play Tampa.
Yeah, and pretty much every team that needed to lose yesterday did. Minnesota lost, San Francisco lost. The Eagles were in the 7th spot until the Washington football team beat the Raiders, but pretty much every team we needed to lose lost, and they actually got elevated to the 6th spot from the 7th spot in the previous week. So, look, I'll put it to you this way: is there a better receiving core out there than what they've already faced in Tampa Bay? It may be Dallas, but Cooper hadn't really been the same. Lamb's dealing with concussions, and I'm sorry, but I'm taking Antonio Brown, even with his fake vaccination card, over Michael Gallup. You know what I mean? Antonio Brown's a proven guy and a proven go-to. Gallup is going to get paid in the offseason, and I've heard a lot of people that want him here opposite of Terry, and that way you can move Samuel to the slot. But, and I'll be honest with you, Zeke is kind of hit or miss the past couple weeks. The thing that I've really noticed with Dallas is Tony Pollard is their home run threat, I think, at this point. And, he had a real long touchdown against the Saints on Thursday night, and then they didn't really hand him the ball anymore. So I think the philosophy there is, it's I can kind of compare it to the philosophy I feel like Washington's defense had at the beginning of the season. Well, we have Sweat, we have Chase Young, we have first-round draft pick on the defensive line. Those guys, plays are designed for them. I feel like Dallas's offense does that at times, where it's like, okay, Amari Cooper hadn't really gotten a ball in a while. Let's throw him. This is your only option. Or, Tony Pollard just ran off a 70-yarder. Let's give the ball to Zeke. We got to feed Zeke. And we saw it against Seattle. DK was covered pretty much the entire game. Russ didn't really look for him. And then at the end of the game, after DK kind of threw a little bit of a temper tantrum, they started forcing him the ball. I don't know. It'll be a good game, I think. This team is confident. I will say that, Rick. We have seen a motivated and confident Ron Rivera ever since the bye. We see those little backstage video or the locker room videos, and, even the video last week coming off the field, he's yelling the F-bomb. I mean, Ron is motivated, and, they need to grow on that 7-9 record last year. They need to be 8-8 or 8-9, 9-8, whatever they're going to end up. I could see them definitely beating Dallas at home. I'm not really going to bet on it because anything can happen in Dallas week. But, and then if looking forward, I mean, who knows if Jalen Hurts is going to be available? I know Minshew played well yesterday. Their running game is really good. So you got 2 against Philly, and then you end the season with the Giants, and Daniel Jones is out with a neck injury, and then they lost Mike Glennon yesterday to a concussion. So they could be on their 3rd or 4th quarterback by the time we get to them.
Yeah, right after the game, Ron Rivera was talking about fans and having them come to FedEx. And I mean, they're worried that most years there's more Cowboy fans there than Washington fans. The interesting part is like on StubHub, they're asking like $400 for the upper deck. And nobody been in the upper deck in years. You know, I mean, usually I look every home game. There's a few people up there. You know, fit toys. That's it. Now you want $400 for a seat up there? That's insane.
See, that's the thing with these season ticket holders. A lot of times when Washington sucks or they're not in playoff contention by the time Dallas rolls around for that home game, they try to get a lot of their season ticket money back by selling off, you know, a pair of Dallas tickets, because you can get $800. You probably get $800 for a pair in the past for a Dallas fan, you know. But yeah, I agree with Ron, and I agree. I know John Allen is trying to give away a pair of tickets, and they're calling for the fans. You know, there's a lot of people in this area that have they're Dallas Cowboy fans, but they have the never been to Dallas syndrome. Can't find Dallas on a map, but somehow they're Cowboys fans. You know, and we got to keep those people out of FedEx.
Yeah, it's a 1:00 game, so you know, and I think they're talking about maybe rain or something. But is this one of those great historic Dallas Washington showdowns?
Nah.
Not the first, maybe the second one, because the second one's going to matter more.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like they're 11-2 coming in. I mean, there's been a lot of those, but this isn't it. I tried to explain the Clint Longwood game to somebody, and I was like, that's not as bad as another one that was going on. What was the rougher loss? Depends, because the playoffs, you know, they used to knock each other out of the playoffs at times, or Washington beat them twice in the playoffs, and it's the championship games. Those are the big games. The first one's not so much. The second one, that's when, you know, both Philly and Dallas games, that's when they matter even more. You got a little bit of a buffer right now.
But I will say this, Dallas is prime for the taking right now. They've lost, you know, they suspended La'el Collins, who's an all-pro offensive lineman. I know Micah Parsons has been playing well and Trayvon Diggs has been playing well, but the philosophy and the game plan that Scott and Ron and have implemented for Taylor is meant to counter those guys. You know, obviously not having Logan, because you could see Micah Parsons on Logan a lot, being out of that linebacker position, and he can run with him.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be, that'll hurt them. But I tell you, man, they got to get a little bit better on the offensive line for this stretch run. I know the line's been playing decent with all the people they've got banged up, but yeah, they need to get some guys back on that offensive line.
And who had the killer penalty for them on the line?
Mr. $18 million.
Yeah, boy, he keeps doing that. It's just, what are you doing? You know, when he does that.
Well, here's the thing. Now that we can kind of, you know, at the beginning of the season, we were thinking, okay, who are they going to draft? What quarterback are they going to get? You know, who's going to fall to them? You know, whether they finish fifth or wherever they finish in the draft position. Now I think you have the chance that you can focus on offensive line in the first round this year. You know, you can get one of those top flight offensive linemen, because honestly, the QB class is not that good this year. I know we've talked about Ritter and the kid from Pitt has been making a case to be a first round pick, but maybe you pass on a quarterback. And, you know, if you want to bring in competition for Heineke, you get another veteran like a Fitzpatrick, but I think you roll next year with Heineke. You know, there's nothing that he's done really. I know he threw a pick against the Raiders, but it wasn't his fault. It was batted up in the air by the receiver. You know, he doesn't have the arm strength. We all know that. But if you build the game plan around him and he executes the game plan, they win. It's proven. We've seen it the past 4 weeks, and they could probably do it against Dallas as well. So, you know, I think they're going to let Brandon walk this year. He's definitely not worth the 18 mil. And it opens up your first round draft pick to go for offensive lineman. I still think they may need to add another running back to go with JD and Gibson. They definitely need linebackers, and they probably need some help in the secondary. So there's still areas of concern on this team, but you can cross quarterback off the list this time.
Yeah, it's interesting. The last 4 times they made the playoffs, they've had to win everything at the end to get there. It hasn't been a year since '99 that they were like over 500, and it's a good team, and there's not as much. It's always been life and death, you know, to get them in the playoffs. And here we are again. You know, 4 straight to get to 6-6. Now you ask yourself, what can they run the board again, which means you finish with 9 straight wins. You finish with 9 straight wins, you're a real Super Bowl contender, even if the competition is just so now. But that's a serious thing. I don't know. I think the Philly games every year, I've done this for so long, it's always the weirdest game of the year. The big surprise score or the stupidest play that turns a game. It's always the Eagles games. I don't know why. Or the game, there are the games where you're down 30-0 at half or something. And you thought, what? So I don't know. It would be, if they beat them twice, then you pretty much have that wild card in your hand. But I don't expect that to happen. They're going to lose one of those. And then I think they're probably going to win one of the two against Dallas.
Yeah.
So 2 wins, and then you got to beat the Giants at the very end. And that gets you to 9 wins, and that pretty much will get you in.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much lockstep with that. I think we're both predicting they go 3-2 down the stretch. And this is what we wanted. We wanted that murderer's row, that 5 straight division games. We knew this was make or break. All they had, and they got to 500. Now it's time to prove it. This is where you got to step up and beat the guys in your own division. But yeah, you're right. It always is this Philly games. I mean, you go back to the Michael Vick Monday night game where it was like 59-7 or something like ridiculous like that. But yeah, it is kind of interesting now that you think about it. I mean, how many games in a row did they have to win with Todd Collins?
Yeah, I mean, they did
five games in a row or something like that to get in the playoffs or even have a chance at the playoffs. And then, they did it with RG3. They won 7 straight or whatever it was. And then, of course, last year they had to run off that winning streak. And now this year they're doing the same thing.
Yeah. So you can never just enjoy a great team.
No.
Yeah. And this year you can't even enjoy the wins because they're always life and death pretty much on there. They don't blow anybody out. And I don't expect it's just been interesting. Now, here's something I broached this on my YouTube channel, Rick Snyder's Washington. I have video up. It said, if they make the playoffs this year, or let's just say they win the division this year, which would be crazy, but let's say they do it. That's 2 division titles and 2 playoff seasons in the 2 years that you're the Washington football team. Do you take your 18 months of research and throw it in the trash? Because, hey, man, what else? You're 2 for 2 with this name. There'd be a lot of people that would be superstitious about changing it. There's a lot of people going to hate whatever the new name is.
Yeah.
Right. But I thought, man, that might lend them to keep the Washington football team. I think it's one of the 3 names that they're considering. But with 2 playoff games, suppose they go something crazy in the playoffs. Now you want to flip the name? It may back them into keeping this name.
Imagine they run the table, they go 11-6 and make it to the NFC Championship. Are you going to ditch Washington football team?
Yeah,
I don't think you can. I think you keep Washington football team and you just work on the logo a little bit. I mean, I like the W, but you've got to work on the helmet. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the numbers on the helmet. I never really have been, but you put the W on there, I think it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I can live with it. You kind of gotten used to it at this point.
Yeah.
And it, if they want to do that, that's fine. I mean, people are yelling at me because I said that they can't get the Wolves name away from Minnesota Timberwolves, have that all set up. And people are yelling at me on Twitter. I'm lying. I don't know. I know what I'm talking about there. I'm not going to say where I heard it from, but I know what I'm talking about there. These people are idiots.
Yeah. And Brian Mitchell was talking about that real quick today on the radio. They want to get away from anything of the past. You had to ditch Redskins. Red Wolves is very close. And not to mention, what is a wolf? It is a very prominent symbol in Native American imagery. They want to get away from that. I don't like commanders. I don't like belters. I don't like any of that crap. I really like Red Wolves. And I know a lot of the younger guys on the team like Red Wolves, but that's not what they want to go with. That's just turning Redskins into Red Wolves and kind of keeping the same, like I said, the same imagery, the same kind of, underlying tone of what the logo is.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they stay Washington football team. You can still sing "Hail to the Redskins." It's the outlaw anthem now. Go ahead. They can't make it stop. And, we'll just see what happens. So, All right, got to run. I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
And we'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.